Venezuela, Iran, and now Cuba. One by one, the governments that Washington has long called adversaries are facing unprecedented pressure, and President Trump is making no secret of what he believes comes next. Cuba will fall, but this time, he's not talking about conflict. He's talking about something he calls a friendly takeover. What does that actually mean? Is Cuba genuinely on the edge of a historic transition? And is a peaceful handover even realistic? Today, we're breaking it all down. March 5th, 2026. In a wide-ranging interview with Politico, President Trump made a bold claim about Cuba's future. His words were direct: Cuba will fall too. And then he went further: we can get Cuba taken over in a friendly way. These weren't offhand comments. Since January 2026, Trump has repeatedly pointed to Cuba's deteriorating economy as a sign of imminent change. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, he said the island was, quote, ready to fall, adding that Cuba had lost its primary source of income. So where did that income come from and where did it go? For decades, Cuba's survival was quietly underwritten by one thing: Venezuelan oil. Under a long-standing agreement, Caracas supplied Havana with heavily subsidized petroleum. In return, Cuba sent thousands of doctors, military advisors, and intelligence personnel to Venezuela. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement, and it kept Cuba's lights on. That arrangement ended abruptly in early 2026. In January, the Trump administration moved against Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro in a major law enforcement operation. Maduro is currently facing legal proceedings in New York. With Maduro gone, the oil stopped flowing completely. Cuba was left exposed. By February, the government acknowledged that 9 of the country's airports had run out of jet fuel. Widespread power outages hit western Havana, leaving millions without electricity for extended periods. Economists speaking to CNBC described it bluntly: Cuba lost Venezuela and Iran as economic lifelines at the same time during a period of maximum external pressure. To understand Trump's Cuba remarks, you have to look at what he said immediately before them. In the same Politico interview, Trump connected Cuba's situation directly to recent developments in Iran. The context matters. In the final week of February 2026, a major escalation unfolded in the Middle East. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was reported to have lost his life during the events that followed. The region entered a period of deep uncertainty. Trump, in that interview, described the public reaction in triumphant terms, and then almost in the same breath pivoted to Cuba. The connection isn't random. Cuba and Iran have maintained a strategic partnership for years: economic, political, and diplomatic. As Iran's influence recedes, Cuba loses another pillar of international support. Cuban President Díaz-Canel condemned the events in the Middle East in strong terms, calling them a violation of international law. But Havana's voice, once amplified by Tehran, now echoes in a much emptier room. Let's sit with that phrase for a moment: friendly takeover. It's an unusual choice of words for a sitting U.S. president to use about a sovereign nation. So what's actually behind it? Secretary of State Marco Rubio himself, Cuban-American, confirmed that high-level conversations with Cuban officials are underway. According to reporting by Axios, Rubio has been in contact through informal channels with members of the Castro family's inner circle, including Raúl Guillermo Rodríguez Castro, a grandson of Raúl Castro. Trump described it this way: the Cuban government is talking to Washington, not because they want to, but because, in his words, they have no money and no options. It's worth noting the parallel to Venezuela. The transition there wasn't clean or simple. It involved a mix of pressure, legal action, and negotiation. Is Cuba being set up for a similar but softer process? Experts urge caution. Professor Par Kumaraswamy of the University of Nottingham told reporters that anxiety and uncertainty inside Havana are rising. The Cuban leadership is watching closely, and they know the playbook. Here's where the story gets complicated, because not everyone sees this as a straightforward win for Washington. Analysts are raising 3 key concerns. First, migration. A destabilized Cuba could trigger one of the largest migration events in recent Caribbean history. Hundreds of thousands of Cubans could head toward Florida. Given the Trump administration's strict immigration stance, that would create a significant and deeply ironic policy conflict. Second, The opposition gap. Cuba has operated under a single-party system for nearly 7 decades. There is no organized, politically ready opposition movement waiting in the wings. If the current government transitions out, the question of what comes next remains genuinely unanswered. Third, international law. United Nations human rights experts have formally criticized the fuel restrictions imposed on Cuba, describing them as an extreme form of economic pressure that raises serious legal questions under international norms. A friendly takeover sounds neat. The reality on the ground is far messier. Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, 3 countries, 3 very different situations. But in the Trump administration's telling, a single, connected story, one where U.S. pressure is reshaping governments one by one, whether Cuba genuinely transitions in the coming months, whether a friendly process is even possible, those questions don't have answers yet. What we do know is this: the island is under more economic pressure than it has faced in a generation. And the world is watching to see what breaks first, the government's resolve or the people's patience.